I would love to report that conversion therapy is gone forever, filed away with lobotomies, bloodletting, and every other medical oopsie-daisy we swore we'd never repeat. I'm here to tell you that the Supreme Court in the US has decided that that horse is in fact actually alive again. They're hearing a case that could decide whether conversion therapy, a practice that every major medical group calls harmful and pseudoscientific, gets a brand new constitutional makeover in 2025 for kids. So buckle up, because apparently we have to have this conversation again. The therapy that isn't therapy. Let's define this clearly before we go any further. Conversion therapy is any practice that tries to change or suppress a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. That's it. That is the entire mission. And historically, that mission led to some genuinely disturbing stuff. Electroshock treatments, chemically induced nausea, forced vomiting, religious exorcisms, and deliverance sessions. Today, it's usually more talk-based. A therapist trying to steer someone away from being gay or trans, or towards accepting their biological sex.
We do believe that men who are uncomfortable with their homosexuality should have opportunities to understand it and try to diminish it to the extent that that's possible for them.
Not always wires or electrodes, just a comfy chair and a therapist trained in the art of gentle shame. But the harm is the same. The Williams Institute estimates that about 698,000 queer adults in the US have undergone conversion therapy, with nearly half experiencing it as minors. Survivors are more than twice as likely to attempt suicide, significantly more likely to experience depression and anxiety, and far more likely to report long-term shame and long-term trauma. Importantly, those outcomes include only talk-based conversion therapy, the quote-unquote respectable kind, now being rebranded as exploration. Every major medical association, they all agree you cannot change sexual orientation or gender identity. Trying to do so causes harm. It is not legitimate healthcare. This isn't a professional debate. Actually, it's not even a debate at all. This is settled science. This is a cruel practice that doesn't work, which is why so many states banned it in the first place, and why this Colorado case is so alarming. The part where we almost fixed it. For a while there, it genuinely looked like conversion therapy was dying off. By the 1990s and 2000s, major medical groups were distancing themselves. The APA publicly warned attempts to change orientation could cause depression and suicidal ideation. Survivor stories and documentaries made it impossible to pretend that this was, just a church thing. Then in 2013, there was the biggest bombshell of all. Exodus International, the world's largest ex-gay ministry, shut down and apologized. Its president even admitted he no longer believed sexuality could even be changed. Meanwhile, states began passing bans. Roughly half of the US implemented protections for minors. Even some Republican governors signed them. So for a brief moment, and I swear this actually happened, it looked like America had reached a consensus. We don't do this to kids. We don't treat identity like a disease. Not around sexuality, around something else. Something even easier to misunderstand completely. Gender identity. And that is when everything started creeping back. Same harm, new target. As acceptance of gay people grew and became more normalized, conservatives pivoted hard towards trans youth, a group easier to vilify because most Americans still don't really understand what being trans meant. They were less likely to know a trans person, more likely to know one gay guy though. Confusion became a strategy. Suddenly, old ideas returned with fresh branding. Exploratory therapy, identity alignment, helping kids live authentically as their biological sex. It's literally conversion therapy, but with better fonts and like they're trying to make it a chill vibe. It's conversion therapy. And for trans youth, the impact has been terrible. Claire Kilman, interviewed by the New York Times, said, "The quality of being trans is inherent. I was trans before the therapy, I endured the therapy, and I'm still trans." Another survivor describes being told their identity must be caused by trauma or peer influence or social media. They kept saying, "We just want to explore," but everything we explored was a reason I couldn't be myself. Explaining the Colorado case without crying. Colorado banned conversion therapy for minors in 2019, covering only licensed professionals. It doesn't touch religious counseling or private beliefs. Enter Kaylee Childs, a counselor who argues she should be allowed to offer therapy aimed at reducing same-sex attraction or helping kids grow in harmony with their biological sex. She claims banning this violates her First Amendment rights. Yep. Kaylee is backed by Alliance Defending Freedom, the conservative legal powerhouse behind many anti-LGBTQI+ causes. Colorado says therapists don't get free speech protections for harmful medical practices. You can't prescribe bleach just because you said it out loud. But several conservative justices have already signaled they might view therapy as speech. And if they do, state bans collapse, local bans collapse, talk-based conversion therapy becomes functionally legal nationwide. Decades of evidence no longer matter. Meanwhile, the rest of the Western world is baffled. New Zealand criminalized conversion practices in 2022. Canada introduced one of the world's strongest bans also in 2022. Across Europe, national bans exist in France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, and the UN calls conversion therapy a human rights violation. While other countries are debating how strong their bans should be, the US is debating whether therapists have a constitutional right to tell a kid their identity is a mistake. I'm worked up today, I'm sorry. The part where I yell about human rights. When you strip away the legal jargon, the Colorado case comes down to this. Whose comfort matters more? The adult trying to reshape a child's identity or the child being reshaped? Conversion therapy has never, ever been about science. It's about making queer and trans people smaller, quieter, straighter, easier. If the Supreme Court protects this as speech, every single ban becomes fragile. The softer, rebranded versions of conversion therapy will spread. They will escalate. And the kids most likely to be pushed into it will be the ones the least able to say no. Somewhere in that gap is a scared, innocent teenager being told in 100 soft clinical phrases that the real them is unacceptable. One survivor said, "You can survive conversion therapy, but you never forget the moment someone tells you the real you is unacceptable." That is what is at stake. It's not politics and it's not definitions. It's kids, their identity, their safety, their lives, their futures. And the future of conversion therapy in America will be shaped by what happens next. If you're mad as hell about this Colorado case, same. But here is the good news, there are organizations actually doing something about it. One, Colorado helps draft legislation. They're basically doing the work most of us wish government would do on its own. If you want to help stop this evil thing going through, they're a great group to support. I'll put the link below for you to donate or support in other ways. 1-colorado.org. If you enjoyed this deep dive into why America insists on speed running its worst ideas, make sure you subscribe. I cover this kind of political chaos every single day, so you don't have to lose your mind on Google at 2 a.m. Bye!